Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk, back on another video today, and I'm going to be talking about today why the Houston Texans, it is a must-need to trade away Laremy Tunsil, the left tackle who, to be honest, guys, has ruined our whole franchise. Laremy Tunsil, he's a very talented left tackle, but because of a stupid mistake by trading for Laremy Tunsil, the Texans have thrown away our whole franchise. If you look back at the trade that the Texans made in 2019 to acquire Laremy Tunsil to be their star left tackle, which I'm not going to say he's been bad, but he hasn't been as he was expected to. He's expected to be one of the best O-linemen in the league. He hasn't really been that. The Texans gave away numerous first-round picks, which has started such a struggle in a rebuild for the Texans. In 2020, Miami would have the Texans' first-round pick, and the Texans would be absolutely awful that year. That was Deshaun Watson's last year as a Texan. I believe we went like 4-12 or something and had the third overall pick. But guess what? It went to the Dolphins. Now, the Texans could have done something really good with that third overall pick. Got some good talent. What could have the Texans got in that draft? That was Trevor Lawrence's year. So you would have not been able to get Trevor Lawrence. He would have went 1. So at 3, you could have got, who went 3? You could have got a good defensive player. Oh, you could have got Micah Parsons with the third overall pick. And Micah was going to go 3, but you could have gotten a really talented player. But instead, the Dolphins got the third overall pick. They traded it to the 49ers. The 49ers ended up getting Trey Lance. And the Texans, they didn't get a draft pick until last year's draft when they selected Derek Stingley Jr. I'm not saying Laremy Tunsil is the whole reason why our franchise is so messed up, because it's not. There's a lot of other things that's happened that is not his fault, like Bill O'Brien stupidly trading DeAndre Hopkins. Now, this is not his fault. This was Bill O'Brien's decision to trade for Laremy Tunsil, and I'm not saying Laremy Tunsil's been bad, but he's handed all the keys to the Miami Dolphins. That trade. It was not, Laremy Tunsil didn't make this trade. Bill O'Brien did the trade. And the Texans, they just got to get away from it. His contract is huge. Last week, it was reported that he wants to become the highest paid O-lineman in the NFL, which I just think is ridiculous. Well, not one of the highest tackles. Trent Williams is the highest paid tackle. I don't think he'll get more than Trent Williams, but he wants to become one of the best, one of the most paid O-linemen in the NFL besides Trent Williams. And I don't think he deserves that kind of money. I think he's a talented player, but I don't think he deserves that kind of money. And I don't think the Texans should give it to him, in my opinion. I think the Texans are better off getting rid of that contract, getting maybe second-round pick, or third-round pick, or whatever that is, second or third-round pick. Possibly. If people were last year when the Texans could have traded him, they could have got a first-round pick, like a late first-round pick. People thought that the Texans could have traded him for the 32nd pick to the Bengals, but the Bengals got a bunch of O-linemen this last offseason, so that's not on the table this year. So now I'm thinking he's in the mid-second area. That's what his worth is probably right now. The Texans got to get rid of him. His contract is huge. His average salary right now is $22 million, and he wants to get paid more. So the Texans got to get rid of that. The Texans have not only do the Texans have money to spend now in free agency because of cap space, but they can spend even more money in free agency next year. This year. And if they get rid of Tunsil, you get rid of Laremy Tunsil, and you can replace him for way cheaper in free agency. There's probably not a lot of guys that will want to come here available, but I'm sure there are a couple decent left tackles on the free agency market. I'll check that out. So you can replace him really easy and really cheap. I just think that, and he hasn't even been that great. I mean, the Texans are getting Davis Mills has been sacked a lot. Laremy Tunsil is getting penalized like crazy. He's always gotten flags called on him, false starts, holdings. It's just crazy how many holdings is called on Laremy Tunsil, and he wants to become one of the highest paid O linemen in the NFL. So now I'm going to kind of go over what the Texans should do, in my opinion. So here is what I would do. Say, you know what, Laremy can be someone else's problem and get rid of him. I saw when I looked at the mock draft, I saw a good team that I saw was a good team that can go after him is the LA Rams. LA Rams don't have a first overall pick. Their first overall pick is going, who's their first overall pick? The Lions. Obviously, they wouldn't trade the 5th overall pick if they had it to the Lions. But I did look at their 2nd overall pick. They are going to have the 38th overall pick. And, going into next season, Matthew Stafford is their quarterback. They need some better O-line going into next year. Plus, Matthew Stafford is not going to be that healthy next year. They want to protect their QB, their Super Bowl QB. Laremy Tunsil is a great guy on the left side to protect Matthew Stafford. I can see that being as a perfect option for the Houston Texans for next year for next year for the Rams. I actually would love Laremy Tunsil in the Rams because I want to see Matthew Stafford do good. I don't want his career to be ended. The neck injury he has is very severe, and if he gets injured again, his career can be over. After what we saw last night happen with DeMar Hamlin, I don't want anybody else to get injured that bad again. Obviously, a neck injury won't cause you to. I don't think it will cause you to, fully collapse like DeMar did last night. But I think Matthew Stafford is a talented QB, and I don't think he is done in this league yet. So I think that some protection is what Matthew Stafford needs. Laremy Tunsil can be really good at that. The Texans get a W in this trade as well. Texans get a 2nd overall pick, and they get the 2nd overall. They get the second round pick. They get rid of a contract, get more money in free agency, and you're set. Here's what I would do with those picks. Here's one option. We're gonna go over one of two options. Here's number one. You have the 33rd overall pick, which is the first pick of the 2nd round. And then if you do that trade, you have the 38th overall pick. Here's one option. Trade the 33rd and 38th pick together for a first rounder. That could be a good option for the Texans. I see one option possibly being the Seattle Seahawks. They could want some other good assets in the 2nd round and get rid of their first overall pick. They have a top 3 pick from the Broncos. They could be okay with trading one first rounder for 2 second rounders. I'm not talking about their 5th overall pick from their 3rd overall pick from the Broncos. I'm talking about their pick from their regular first-round pick, which right now is at 19. I think that's going to either end up at 20 or 21 if my predictions go right for the NFL this week. I think the Bucs will lose to the Falcons because I don't think they'll play their starters. They've already won the division. I also think if the Bills game ends up happening this Sunday against the Patriots, I think the Patriots will lose. So in that case, that pick ends up going to 21. So that in that case, you're trading the 33rd overall pick and the 38th overall pick for the 21st overall pick. For the Texans, yes, it's good to have another first rounder, but honestly, I'd rather keep those 2 seconds. You get a lot of talent in the 2nd round, and you're trading 2 decent talents for 1. What I would do, with the 33rd overall pick, I traded to O-lineman. I'm going to draft one. With that 33rd overall pick, I draft the O-lineman. And then with that 38th overall pick, I just drafted a quarterback named Bryce Young. I want him to be familiar. I want him to be, comfortable in this Texans offense. So I go get a guy that is very comfortable with Bryce Young, kind of like how the Jags drafted Travis Etienne. I draft Gibbs, the running back from Alabama, very talented running back. Could be a great pick for the Houston Texans. I've always talked about how I'd like to see the Texans go with a 1-2 punch as the running back with either with Pierce and another running back. Kind of talked about Bijan Robinson. I don't really want the Texans to use a first-round pick for a running back. I love Bijan, Texas Longhorns fan, but just don't think that's worth it. Texans can fill out other positions that they need, like wide receiver. So they can use another round to get another running back to have a 1-2 punch with a running back. So you got Gibbs, you got Pierce, and you got Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young will work really well with 2 running backs, and then a new O-lineman for the new quarterback. So I love this idea for the Texans. Obviously, you got the idea of trading 2 seconds for 1 first, but I'd rather just keep those 2 seconds and draft the O-lineman with the 33 and draft Jerome Gibbs with the 38. I think that could be a great option for the Houston Texans. You guys let me know what you guys think about trading Laremy Tunsil. I think this is a must action that the Houston Texans need to do. They must trade Laremy Tunsil this season with his salary, the way he plays, and he wants more money, and the Texans can get the same position for less money in free agency. That's it for the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know your thoughts, and peace out. Go Texans.